Hey, this is Azaroth Kane. You're on Three Count Podcast.
Do you wanna get live with me? Do you really wanna ride with me? I'm in the club, baby, grind on me.
Welcome everyone to another great edition of the Three Count Podcast presents Downrange Ring, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And with this being, a new season and, our 400 and something episode, I would just hope you say it with me. I am your Sherpa. Because like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. But like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. So who's entering the ring today? You can find this man making all sorts of music across all different genres. He is one of my longest running friends to date. You guys know Luda franchise. He is that one. He's probably one. And then this man right here sits in the top 5, hands down easily. He's the man, the myth, the legend, the rock star himself, Azaroth, Kane.
Thank you. How you doing today?
Yo, what you mean? How you doing today, bro? It's been so good to see you because, like, we low key we chatting on Messenger, but this is the first time in I feel like years that we actually get to see each other and say what's up.
Yeah, for real, man. It's been too long, honestly.
It's been a hot minute, man. And I feel like
Yeah,
I think I
for
saw you
real.
like one time I was randomly back in Nebraska. I think I saw you we were just like at a Target and we just happened to see each other.
Yeah.
But no, man, like how have you
Yeah.
been, man? Because what I feel like a lot of people don't know, and I'll break the ice with this here. So there's a new song. I've been using it for a lot of my highlight videos. I've been using it for just random tracks that I feel like it fits for. But you wrote a song called Red Dog. You wrote it, you produced it, and now it's out and people have heard it. And I've gotten a lot of great reviews from it too. But it was all you. You was the one that put it together, man. So I was like, of course, like we're gonna go ahead and talk about all this.
Yeah, man. I didn't realize that you were doing the wrestling thing until I think it was David Senna, as a matter of fact. He hit me up and said that you were doing it. I needed to check it out. So I found you on YouTube. I found you on Facebook. I started watching some of your stuff. I was really impressed with everything I saw and everything that you were doing. I thought, hey, it'd be kind of cool, something different to do a track for somebody, especially somebody I know, and especially pertaining to wrestling and fighting and other stuff. And I thought it'd be really fun new approach to something.
It's funny though because I remember in high school, like in junior high and high school, I remember we would all you, me, and our third person, Garrett, who isn't on this podcast, but he's definitely I feel like he's well known. Like I talk about him a couple times here and there. We used to watch wrestling though. We used to watch SmackDown at your house.
Backyard wrestling.
And we had backyard wrestling too.
Yeah. I remember the backyard wrestling stuff.
It's funny because it's weird because I always refer to it as the dark arts because the thing is backyard wrestling is in the professional scene is really looked down on. And there's a bunch of wrestlers who've come up through the backyard scene and have made something of their names, right? One in particular, his name is CM Punk. I feel like a lot of people know who that person is. And then
Yeah.
also another name is the Young Bucks, right? Which is Matt and Nick Jackson, who run this company called AEW, but it is looked down on, and it's because they're not trained, they're not this, they're not that. There's a lot of things that go into it, but it's crazy to me. And so every once in a while when I talk about my time, I was like, yeah, when I was in the dark arts, that's what I did.
Right.
But no,
Yeah, the crazy personas.
Yes, all the time. Always had something different
Yeah.
going on. It was funny though, man, because
Yeah,
the
masks and other
character,
crazy stuff.
yeah, and so even the character that I portrayed the first time. So for those who don't know, back in 2003, 2004, 2001, 2002, 2003, that time frame, like, yeah,
Uh,
that character isn't it is and it isn't too far different from what Red Dog is, right? So Red Dog is there's different variants of it, and is something that I've helped develop over time. Um, and like there's the mercenary gimmick of him, there's the playful gimmick, and then there's the West Coast gimmick. And the West Coast gimmick
right.
is legitimately from like when we were yarding. I was like, I've just pulled this whole character. Like, I don't talk about him a lot on the show because we don't really get a chance to. So for you guys who are ever wondering like who the theme song is that's playing for either now entering to a one or returning to the ring, is my best friend who passed away a few years ago, Joseph Padilla. Uh, but his
Yeah.
songs are always the intro. But like his character, like the way he wrestled, his character, I've kind of like pulled parts of that into it. And so like, he's all like, yeah, like suave, like I'm really cool about things and I don't give a fuck and I'll fuck you up, blah 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 blah. And I just think about
That
like
and the
West
crow.
Coast. Yeah, the crow. Yes.
The
He did
crow.
do the
Remember that? Yeah.
crow.
I remember
He was
lighting his backyard on fire a few times trying to do that crow symbol.
I yeah, I remember that very distinctly. But it's
They're
crazy.
different times.
100%. Sometimes you get kicked a flaming soccer ball kicked at you, just depending on what happens. You never know.
Yep.
But yeah, I just remember all that time back in the day, though. It was wild. But the thing I like I want to hop into, right, is that we both kind of left that, and then we kind of, I don't want to say grew up out of wrestling because I don't think I ever like left the wrestling scene, but you got really heavy into music and you were
I
doing a
did.
lot of different stuff. Yeah, because I remember you were doing horrorcore rap for a
Hmm.
while, and then
Yep.
I've seen you kind of just break into different genres.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, what it was I was in a local heavy metal band for a few years, and we were starting to make waves. We had a chance to sign with a major label, and then tragedy struck. Drugs hit one member, a marriage hit another. Another one fell in love and chased the girl all the way to Japan, and the whole band just fell apart. And so I decided, well, what was the one thing I could try to do by myself that I didn't need to have a band? And so that's when the horrorcore rap thing kind of came around for a while. That was kind of my, well, fuck you guys. I don't really need any of you. I can do this on my own,
Like,
you know?
yeah, I mean, I talk about it every once in a while here too. Like, I was like big in the scene as well, like with hip hop,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
uh, you know, it's something, and my dad said this to me too, which was kind of crazy. And I don't think I've talked about this on the show though. He was like, "I love the fact that you are willing to go try and chase after something that may or may not hit." He's like, he goes, "I used to hate the fact that you loved rap music, but I love the fact that you would chase down and like just try to flow and try to work at it and grind at it." And he's like, "You were pretty good at it." And I was like, "Oh, now you finally say it. Now I'm in my 30s, man. Like I'm not dusting off the mic
Right.
just yet for this. Like I'm too busy getting beat up in a ring.
Right. I ain't got time for all this.
I don't have time for rap right now, but I will, and eventually I want to be
Right.
50 something years old, dust the mic off."
Hey, man, if Eminem can still rock it, why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not shoot for the moon? Why not? I just call myself
Exactly.
like old time Red Dog or something like that. I don't know. OTRD will go.
Might be all right, too.
Might be all right. Like, what you gonna talk about? Me getting a hip replacement? Fuck you. Like,
There you go. Exactly. Exactly. Do your thing.
what about so? Talk to me because like I know like you were very much a wrestling fan too though, and like
For a little while, yeah.
have you still been kind of dipping dabbing? Like what's the scenario? What's the deal with it?
No, not really. Honestly, I kind of left that back in the day. I got more heavily influenced in martial arts.
Oh, we did talk about. I do remember this conversation. All right, you're gonna have to talk to me more
Yeah.
about it.
Well, I mean, it's not a real expansive journey. I started with like taekwondo and karate and most of everything that everybody starts out with. And
Mm,
then I kind of moved on to some different things. I got more involved in the Bruce Lee philosophy and some of the I never pronounce it right. Ancration, the old
mm.
Greek fighting, like some of the philosophy involved with that and stuff. And the more I did that, the more I started diving into other martial arts. I got into like Sistema for a little bit. I got into Aikido for a little bit. The ones that I kind of stuck with the longest, though, I think was probably the Muay Thai and the kickboxing. I think that's probably the one I like the best.
Mm. I remember like when I was living in when I was in the Air Force, I was living in Hawaii. I was getting trained in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu with a dude named Richard De La Reyes, which shout out to the
Mm,
Mango Tree. If you guys get a chance to and you're out there, go check it out. It's a Muay Thai school now that we're actually talking about him. But he was really, I mean, he wrestled or he fought in the Bellator, you know what I mean? So like he was somebody. And
yeah, absolutely.
it was cool being trained and learning how to, you know, flips and hit sit and sweeps and to learn different ways to change positions, you know, when you're in trouble. And I felt like maybe I was just a little, and it's weird to say it like this, but I was like in my early 20s, I was a little too young to really like understand like
Like appreciate what you were learning.
yeah, because you're in a position to learn how to get out of positions. And I've been like
Mm,
heavily watching the UFC, right? Like watching mixed martial arts
yeah,
and really starting
yeah.
to understand the science behind it. And now I kind of wish that like I would have forced myself to keep going back to those classes and learning because I had some friends who in the military were learning stage 3 combatives, so they were learning how to throw elbows and knees in Muay Thai style. I was like, man, I
Yeah.
really wish I would have stuck with this a lot longer than I did because it would have benefited me in so many different ways. Um, but no, I'm a massive, massive fan of great martial artists and then great martial art styles. So to me, I'm just like,
I
man,
am
there's
too.
and I think it goes back. I mean, you just talked about it, right? Like Bruce Lee, right, has so I'm reading his book again for like the fourth time called Be Like Water, which is
Yeah.
actually Shannon Lee's interpretations of his writings. Um,
Yeah.
going back and rereading it again and listening to it on audiobooks. But it's one of those things where it's like you learn a lesson from his writings, and the one thing that I loved about it was his understanding of what it means to relax and to learn how to relax.
Yeah.
I always I just
Yeah.
find it fascinating. But what I really
Yeah.
find fascinating
His
is
ideas about breathing and chi and flowing like water and being able to doing your no telegraph hits and I mean everything about this philosophy and all the way down to Jeet Kune Do itself is very impressive.
yeah, well, I mean, it goes back to Jeet Kune Do is, you know, it's mixed martial arts. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's like you're
Yeah. It
developing
really it
your
is.
own style. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's really all I got to say about it. The journey wasn't real long. It wasn't real expansive. It did cross a few years, with a few breaks here and there, but yeah, I've even kind of left that behind now. Honestly, I'm getting older. You
Listen,
know,
we are all
the
getting
damage
old.
I've done to myself is catching up.
Yeah, but you know what? What's crazy is that like, you know, they say that like the mind frame is what makes your age, right? So like
Yeah,
I'm sure I've had a lot of people tell me that it is crazy that I have a teenager for a daughter. And I'm like, why? They're like, because you don't look like you should have a teenager for a daughter. And I've been told that I look as young as 26, and I've been told that I look as old as 39. I was like, which is appropriate because that's exactly what I am. I was like, but
right.
I don't know. For me, the mindset is like, I'm gonna go out and try to do all the things that I've been told that I couldn't do and to grind on it and work on it and make myself better. So I have this dude, I train him. He's a dentist. He's in his like 70s, and my man is still trying to learn how to throw a roundhouse kick after he tore his
That's
quad.
awesome.
So I'm like, yo, he tore his quad. Like
That's
it was
really
crazy,
cool.
right? This man full on does dance, right? He's a dancer, and he was walking on a curb, and it was icy, and he slipped and he fell and he tore his quad off the bone, right? They
Let's
reattached
see.
it, and then 6 months later, and mind you, he was still doing karate too, and this whole time, like competing, and he tore his quad, and he came back, and he just started getting back into karate again. So he's just like throwing light kicks, but
Right.
he's still competing at world championships for dance. It's like it just
Jeez.
yeah, and he's like
Wow,
he's
that's impressive.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So for you, bro, like, hey, yo, anytime you can be like, hey, yo, we're gonna walk right back into this door and we're gonna pick up right where we left. Well, maybe not right where we left off. We might be a couple stages behind, but we're gonna catch up and we're gonna pass up.
Right? Yeah. No, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely miss it. As a matter of fact, I just for my birthday, as a matter of fact, I just got a new heavy bag, new heavy bag, some gloves, some different things like that to get back into it again. I've been craving it lately. I guess I don't know why, but it's really been bothering me lately that I haven't been doing it for so long. So it's about time I got back into it again.
Man, it's a healthy option, man. Like, I mean, you get to take out you're taking out aggression, you're getting some energy, you're exercising, it like all sorts of stuff's gonna physically help you like get like one into good shape, but two, like mentally you're gonna be a lot sharper too because you're testing the limits out of how far you can push.
Let's see, you cutting out
Nope.
here, buddy.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Is that me or you?
Oh, you got me now. Hello. Oh. But no, man, like you said, like you've been missing hitting the heavy bag. It makes sense though because like when you hit the heavy bag, you're getting a lot of exercise, but also it's just sharpening you up mentally for whatever's coming up.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah. And I don't even know what that whatever is yet, but I'll figure it out eventually.
nobody worries about the destination of the road. Everybody just worries about the journey of it.
Yeah, honestly, that's where I'm at right now. Honestly,
Yeah.
I used to a true story. I used to be quite the bar fighter back in the day. I used to bounce at a few different bars, and I used to just like to fight. Period. It didn't matter if it was sanctioned, didn't matter if it wasn't. I just like to fight. And about the time that I had my daughter, though, I had to slow down. There was definitely a need for a break there, and not be doing that anymore, and not be trying to compete, and not trying to be the biggest badass everywhere I went, and kind of lost some of that chip on my shoulder a bit.
Did you really lose it though, or did it just kind of shift its focus? Because like,
I
you
think
know,
it shifted its focus. Honestly, I don't ever think it ever really left. Just I learned to hide it better. Her
yeah,
dad
I
didn't
mean
need to
that.
see that side of her, or her. My daughter didn't need to see that side of her dad.
Yeah, and to me, like, for me, it's the chip on me. Like, when I was in the military, I was just like determined to want to be the best at whatever it is I was doing. And so, you know, having my daughter, I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to be the best dad that I can be, period. And then it was,
Yeah,
all right, well, my daughter, I don't want my daughter to look at me and be like, well, was there something that you tried to do that you just regret that you didn't get to do? And I was like, nope, pro wrestling was that thing. And so I was like, I'm
yeah.
gonna jump into this at first and just do whatever it is I can do, make it work.
Yeah, honestly, that's the way it was for me with music too. I had no idea where I was going. I didn't know if I was going to meet anybody cool along the way. I didn't know if people were going to like it or not. I just went with it. I did whatever.
I think that's the biggest thing though, is that like when you jump into something and you're just like, all right, I'm just gonna give it everything I can, I'm gonna do whatever I can, and then you meet people along the way that inspire you on your journey and then just keeps you fueled because you're like, wow, I can't believe that set person
Yeah,
is still doing this thing that I didn't know they were like super into.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. I've ran into that a lot, honestly, a lot of really cool guys too. When and even back in the horrorcore days and stuff, I was doing music with anybody that was from 15, 16 years old, just barely got their first microphone or phone or something, and was recording for the first time, to veterans in the game. I mean, that have been doing music for 30, 40 years, both in that genre and out.
It was funny because I remember, like, the first theme song that I had done, right? First theme song for myself, was by this band named Hollow Drive, and they did a cover of Danger Zone, and I was floored by this version of it. I don't know why, but I just liked it, right? So I was just listening to it everywhere, and it actually became the theme song for when I was doing, like, these weekly episodes over the pandemic. Like, I was, like, trying to do, like, weekly episodes, but I created this thing called The Adventures of Red Dog and just, like, showing off my behind the scenes of my life and stuff like that, the things I was doing. But Hollow Drive was the people, right? And so I ended up getting to be friends with this dude named Marcus Wells, who he was the lead guitar player and then ultimately became the lead singer of Hollow Drive. And
Oh,
the band
nice.
broke up, but he still had all the music. And then I found this song. So I reached out to the band's page. He didn't even check the band page. He just happened to one day because he was bored and he saw my message and he was like, who the hell is this guy? So he clicked on it, saw that I had asked for permission to use their songs and like for wrestling. And they're like, oh, hell yeah. So I brought him on the podcast. We had like this fun conversation. He was actually the first recording artist that I brought on the show. And he has
That's awesome.
all his own music too. So that's why when you were like, you had hit me up and you're like, have you ever interviewed like any artists before? I was like, oh yeah, we've done a couple.
That's cool. Yeah.
um, but yeah, another person that I had brought on too was he's a mentor of mine actually. And his name's Blizz. They actually just dropped their album in August called The Theme Gods, and they're actually my song is actually on that album, which is called Punchline. Um,
Oh, that's
very
cool.
appropriate. Yeah, it's very appropriate because it literally just talks about the journey of Red Dog and all the things that he just comes up with and the randomness of him. And so then when you hit me up too, and I was like, of course. And I was like, it's something about artists get what the wrestling business is about, right? Because like ultimately you're entertaining fans and
Yeah.
you want to move people through emotions and music. So, talk to me
Right.
about that a lot. Like talk to me about that.
For that song in particular, or just my approach in general?
Just your approach in general.
My approach in general is, um, I guess I really don't have one. I'm kind of a naturally angry person 24/7. I'd be one of those perfect people that have one of those what grinds my gears type shows or something, you know what I mean? There's just something 24/7 that pisses me off, you know. Very simple things too. I mean, very simple things like if you're driving a Hummer and you brake for a pothole, I'll probably get out of my car and punch you. Like just straight up. You know what I mean? Or if you're driving a car that does like 205 and you're like creeping along on the road, yeah, yeah, nope, nope. You shouldn't even own that car. Nope, just irritates me. Just
Well,
stupid little things like that. Or I see like a $50,000 sports car. It's like a 16-year-old kid driving it, and I'm like, oh, that one hurt. I was like, come on.
what about the stage presence though? Like getting out in front of a crowd and performing shows, like the
Um,
emotions, the way you're
I don't
using.
I don't know, honestly. Like I always have the like butterflies, I guess, or like nerves and stuff before I get on there. But then once I'm actually up there, something switches, something changes, and it's more of a, I guess, like a primal animal type situation that comes out. Then more aggressive, more. I mean, everything is mean. The motions are mean. The faces are mean. The way you express your voice is mean. Everything just becomes this focal point for anger.
No, I like that because
And
it's
then
funny
all
for
of a sudden the crowd just kind of disappears and that emotion just kind of takes over and then you're kind of in your own little world then at that moment.
see, and when it comes to like wrestling, like I'm always nervous before I go out. always. And like I was just talking about this with another friend of mine at like right before I go out, before whether I'm first or I'm second, it doesn't really matter. But like if I know I'm first, like I can feel the butterflies coming along, and then I get like super
Right.
excited that they're there because I'm like, all right, cool. So that means I care. Like that's what's ultimately what I think about. Like if I don't have butterflies, then that means I just don't care anymore, and that's the problem. And it's like, and because I love this so much, I think I care so much that that's when the butterflies come at me like the most. But when that first person goes out and I'm in the second, I'm like, I give myself a quick second, and then I can feel all the butterflies coming. I'm like, we there now, and then like just get into it, and then like I bust through a curtain, and the crowd stares at me, and I just like, yeah, let's go, and then the crowd's like, yeah, and then I'm hyped, they're hyped, and then we're kind of trading each other's energies back and forth to like see where we're at,
Oh
and then
yeah,
I love connecting with audiences though.
yeah. Feeding off the crowd is one of the best things, one of the best feelings in the world.
One of my favorite things to do is like when I come out to the crowd, I look for like an open chair, like any section, and I'll just randomly go sit next to a fan and just stare at the
There you go.
entrance as if, and I stare at the entrance as if like the person's coming to the door any minute, and I'm just cheering along like, for no reason.
There you go.
It's
Yeah, no,
so
that's what you gotta do. That's good showmanship right there. You know what I mean? That little element of surprise, that little spark that you care, showing the fans something a little extra.
I think one time, I should say I think I know I did it. I've done it a couple times though. So like I wrestle at this place called HWF, Honorary Wrestling Federation, and I'll blaze through the curtain and I'll run to like wherever I see like a bunch of screaming fans, and I just look back at the entrance and start cheering for the person too, even though I know it's me that they're like looking for.
That's how you do it.
I was like,
Yeah,
yo,
no.
it's fun.
Well, some of my favorite stuff that I like to do is I've always got a wireless mic. Wired mics are great; they have their place, but I like the wireless ones a little bit better. And yeah, one of my favorite things to do is I'll jump right out into the mosh pit with everybody. I'll still be singing. I don't even care if somebody else knows the song. I'll put the mic in their face. They can sing it while I'm getting smashed around left and right, by a couple of people before I decide to get back on it again.
Yeah, I love that though.
Yeah, I really don't have any limits there. Jumping off speakers, jumping into the crowds, just I like having fun. I like mixing it up with everybody, bringing people up on stage. That's always fun.
Oh yeah. So like I know like my wrestling character is more like geared towards kids, unless like I know the show I'm on is like an adult kind of like only show, like 18 plus or something. Then I know I can just go like
Right.
extreme balls on the wall. But for the most part, I understand it's marketed towards like I'm more marketed towards kids. So like I'll jump up like on a turnbuckle and I'll look for like a random kid and I grab that kid. I've had tons of pictures where I like have a kid sit next to me and like I'll be holding them while I'm standing on top of the ring and like the crowd's like cheering along. And like it always sticks with me because I'm like I remember like being that kid and like looking I remember like this dude, he used to race cars and his name was Rod. And like I was so excited every time that I saw him, and he was like my favorite driver. And so I remember that feeling, and then seeing these kids like in the stands, I'm like, yo, I want to be that for them. Like I want to be that person that
Yeah.
they come to, and they're like, yo, I want to talk to him afterwards and have conversations and take photos, and like hopefully he
Yeah.
gives me an autograph or he, you know, gives me a free t-shirt or a picture, something, anything. Like just give me that memory. And I'm like, yes,
Right.
I will give you that memory. If you come to me, you can whatever. I don't really care. Pictures, autographs, everything. I'll
Yeah.
do it.
That's what I am too, honestly. I kind of believe in Dee Schneider's whole philosophy for musicians and bands and stuff. One time I seen him in a interview from way back, but he was trashing on bands that had the audacity and the strength and energy after their shows to just go destroy their motel rooms. You gotta remember that back in the '80s. They
Yeah.
just destroy their motel rooms and light the place on fire and throw things out into the roads and whatever. And Dee Schneider's like, honestly, if you still got enough energy to do that, you robbed your fans. He's like, every time I go out on stage, he goes, I give it everything. I don't have anything left when I'm done. He goes, I literally go home, I go to bed. I don't go home and party. I don't go home and, do stupid things. He's like, I go home and I go to bed because I'm literally exhausted from giving 110% to the crowd. And
Yeah.
honestly, that philosophy's always stuck with me. And every time I'm on stage, that idea is always in my head every single time I'm up there.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't, and it's crazy to think that you can, because there's been times where I know other wrestlers, well, they just phone it in. They're just like, yeah, we know the crowd. It's not the size that we're looking for. And sorry to be sharing your secrets, but I'm not dropping your names. But they'll be like, we're just gonna give them like a regular match, and the crowd be happy with that, and then we'll go. And it's like, well, wait a minute, y'all live around the block, and I drove 7+ hours to get here, right? 6+ hours, doesn't matter. I drove a long
Right.
ways to get here, and these fans are about to just everything is about to come to me because I'm gonna have them eating out the palm of my hand because that's what I want. And I'm gonna give them
Yeah.
all the energy, all everything I can, just so that they know, like, hey man, like, no, this is Red Dog, and we really love him for like being here. So I 100% understand that philosophy of just like, yeah, I'm giving you everything I got, and then my favorite thing, sleeping in my own bed. So I don't like to
Yes.
stay. I don't like
Yes.
to stay in hotels. I'm like, I'm out, bruh.
No. No. Tour buses, motels, all that is not comfortable or fun.
No, I have. So we talk about the in I know they do it in the business too for musicians, right? We talk about we call it doing the drives, but yeah, I've driven like 7 hours for a show and then drive 7 hours back because
Oh,
the
yeah.
the the two things I think about, right, is one, I want to sleep in my own bed, but two, I also want to wake up in the morning next to my wife and my, hang out with my daughter for the day. Like, yeah,
Exactly.
I want to entertain y'all, right? But you know, I love my family and I want to go hang out with them.
Honestly, I think, especially when you've got a family, you got to find that healthy balance somewhere in there. You can't give too much to one or the other, or you got to give 100% to both.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
really,
that's the hard thing right there. You know what I mean? Is to be able to try to be that 100% for both.
yeah, I think it really comes down to like just the idea of being present, like of where you're at, right? Like, when I'm home, like, sure, like as you guys can see, normally this door is closed. um, but normally, like I'm like when I'm with the family, like I'm with the family. Like I'm present, I'm hanging out with you. This is what we're doing for the rest of the night, rest of the day. It doesn't really matter what it is. When it's time to do the interview, like, hey, locked up for the podcast, I'm in for the podcast. And if I'm at a show, I'll arrive at wherever I'm at, send my wife a quick text, like, hey babe, like I made it safe, just letting you know, leaving at
Yeah.
this time, I'll see you in the morning. Love you, right? Just kind of let her know. And then when I leave
Oh
the
yeah.
show, I'll send her another text message like, hey, by the way, I'm leaving the show. Should be home about this time. And that's usually kind of like about it. But when I'm at the show, like I am locked in. Like you would have guessed that I just showed up
Yeah.
40 minutes ago and I was like, yo, that's we're gonna go out here and we're gonna do this. And then I drive home. And then you would have never guessed I left.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, that's a lot of people they I don't know how it is for like your scene, but at least in the music scene, they see your music videos, they see the persona of you, the idea of you, and they kind of think that that's actually what you are. They forget that you have a family, they forget that you have responsibilities and other things that, yeah, you're there for them, but you've also got another life away from them that you also have to cater to.
I think now it's starting to open up back in the early days when there was like the territories, like your Hulk Hogan's, your Macho Man's, right? Uh, your Undertakers, right? All and it goes way beyond before that too. Your Ric Flairs, your Nick Bogwinkles, uh, Bruno San Martino, all those guys, right? There was this perception that like that wrestling character that was them, like that was them 24/7. Like it was what they call, sorry y'all, riding the gimmick, right? Playing the gimmick. Um,
Right.
and it's one of those things where it's like, or working the gimmick. I know that's how other people know it as. but it now is starting to become more like open, like, oh, so this is such and such, and he's married to this person, and they have a few kids together, or there's this person,
Right.
and not really that way in real life. He's really kind of like this, and sometimes it goes the opposite way. Oh, I see that guy on TV. He looks really cool, and he's a prick, like in real
Yeah.
life.
Yeah,
And it
absolutely.
happens.
Absolutely. Especially, oh man, in the music scene, you'd be surprised. There's so many people with, I mean, just egos. Egos. Some of them probably earned it. Other ones, hell no.
Yeah.
That ego's there for no fucking reason.
Well, it was a while where like there's been I've heard stories of people who were like, I'm over at this one place. Well, we call it over, but I'm really well known at this place, and everybody likes me here. And then and I've been wrestling in this place for, let's just call it 10, 15 years, and the fans love me, and I'm like the best thing here. And then they travel to the next town over, and like they get nothing, no
Yeah.
crickets, nothing, because people don't know who they are. They're like, yo, you're just a big fish in a small pond. And I can
Yeah.
understand, like, some people will be like, well, I've been working the roads for 20 something years. I'm like, yeah, but no one knows who you are. Like, I don't know you. So
Yeah.
yeah. There's some people though that, like, what I really love is, for the majority of it, right? And it's a great lesson that's being taught at a lot of the schools and stuff. It's just like, yo, just stay humble and grind, right? Like, sure, you've done some things, right? And you're probably going places, but at the end of the day, you got to kind of remember, like, hey, like, there's a ladder. And the big thing I guess talked about on the ladder is, as you're passing all those people on the way up the ladder, remember, you could possibly be passing all those people on the way down from that same ladder.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. The whole no
No,
burning bridges thing.
100%. 100%. Just be mindful of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Um, but no, like, so one of my favorite things about wrestling, right, is the I don't say notion, because that's not the right word either, but captivating an audience through emotion, right, and just kind of like swaying them along. Like, I am a real, and I don't want to like toot my own horn when I say it this way, but I'm a pretty decent baby face and a good guy, for those who don't know that term. But one of those things is that being a good guy, you got to kind of connect with the crowd and bring them along on a roller coaster ride, right? So, you know, you're up and high, the crowd's high with you, you start getting your ass beat, because that happens to me a lot. Uh, then the
Right.
crowd right down with you, and then you start coming back. The crowd gets up with you again, and then like whatever happens at the end, right? Whether you win or lose depends on how the
Right.
crowd reacts, right? Um, but I love taking them on that story, that roller coaster ride. And what's it like in your side of the business with that kind of ride of an emotions?
Um, really, it really just kind of depends, honestly. I think it really kind of depends on what kind of band you are. I think it kind of depends on how emotional you can get during your music without getting to a point to where you're too angry to try to perform it, or even too sad for that matter. You depressed yourself, you're crying on stage or something, and you can't carry on with the song anymore because you put too much into it.
Right.
There's a bit of a balance that comes with it, and I think it depends on what kind of band you are, really. Like with my stuff in particular right now that I'm doing, a lot of it seems to be very much the hype, the pump. I get a lot of people all the time that are, dude, that was amazing. I was speeding on my way to work and didn't even realize it until I looked down at the speedometer and I was listening to you the whole time. Different things like that come up. So that's kind of what I see more. But I mean, my favorite band ever is Typo Negative. And if you've ever gotten a chance to listen to them, they're everything from a real heavy hard rock down to this real sad melodic. I mean, Peter Steele in particular, his voice, he had a way to really draw it out of you. You know what I mean? To identify what that emotion would sound like if it had a voice. And it was always on the darker side of things, but he was able to isolate, really what that emotion wanted to hear. So if you were really depressed, or if you were just kind of in a dark place, or whatever, that music, for some reason, his voice is, at least for me anyways, that music really gravitated towards me. He had a way to touch that feeling that I had with his voice. And
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that's really what it comes down to with a lot of the different bands too. Depending on how aggressive you're playing, or what speed you're at, or what tempo you're doing, or the way the vocals are flowing, or whether it's real choppy. You've got everything from like speed metal and death to grind and gent. I mean, and every single one of them has its place, and every single one of them has their differences.
absolutely. It's something we talk about too in the wrestling side of things. Is like there's so many different styles of wrestling. Like I think people just see like WWE and they just assume like that's it. That's what wrestling is. And it's like, no, dude, like if you go to Japan, there's like this it's what we call strong style. So like just
Oh
hard hitting
yeah,
style. You have
oh
death
yeah,
matches. You have death match wrestling, which is
hmm
where dudes are getting busted open with light tubes and like forks and knives
yeah.
and like it's an insane, but something that I love watching because it's a crazy art form that I'm gonna be honest with everybody when I say this. I couldn't do it, but I'm very much appreciative of the people who can do it because I'm like, yeah, you
Oh
guys rock.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about too. Yeah, that's always fun to watch.
Yeah. David Arquette, the dude from Scream,
Mm,
he did a couple death matches and actually
really?
yeah, so it was crazy. So he did this death match with this guy named Nick Gage. Nick Gage, hey, everybody know MDK all fucking day, bro. Murder, death, kill. That man is
Right.
that man went to jail. Like he legitimately went to jail. Um,
Man was
what's
about it.
crazy, yeah. So what's crazy though is that the thing about Nick Gage is very much a safe performer. Like I know a lot of people out there are like, what? He's a deathmatch wrestler. He's not like, but he accidentally hit David Arquette in the neck in his carotid vein artery and cut him open by accident. And the
Oh
thing
wow.
is like the thing is if you pay attention to Nick, like Nick's not an unsafe worker. Like he's very much like in control, knows what's happening. We'll talk to you about it,
Right.
and he tells you exactly what's happening. So much to the point where he was in a match with this company called AEW. A lot of people are gonna know exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about this. He has a pizza cutter that's like his like signature, and he runs the pizza cutter across your head. Um,
Oh,
him,
okay. Yeah.
yeah,
I think I've
that's
seen that before. Honestly,
yeah, that's
like, it
MDK.
was on a YouTube video or something. But yeah, I think I've seen that. Honestly.
Well, he did it to Chris Jericho on AEW, right? So he hits him with his pizza cutter. Hey, and when they go, they dead ass the announcer. We'll be back to you guys right after these messages, side by, or he's like, you keep watching action, picture in picture. And so as he's running the pizza cutter, the video drops back, and right next to it is a Domino's
Right.
commercial.
Oh, go figure. Perfect timing.
So like so many fans were like that had never seen Nick Gage, had no idea what was going on. Literally like started talking about boycotting Domino's because they allowed their message be next to a deathmatch wrestler and blah 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 blah
Oh
blah. I'm like,
no.
bruh, this was it was so good. But Nick, like I said, Nick Gage, back to him, he's an excellent storyteller with machinery. Like he just knows what he's doing. So I'm like, yeah, of course, like he's very good at his job, like very, very good. So much to the point that they were in Torrington, Wyoming for a
Right.
match, for a death match. And I don't think fans knew what to expect because the police got called. They had to stop the show and tell the cops, like, no,
Really.
yeah, tell the cops, like, listen, the show's planned. We already know everything. This is what's happening right now. Like, we're very sorry you guys got called, but these people that clearly didn't know what they were getting into when they saw GCW was coming in. It was a crazy
Oh, that's
situation.
so gnarly.
Yeah.
I never heard of that. And I'm not even that far from there either, honestly. And I never heard of that one.
Yeah, so that was the thing that happened. And it was funny because like as I'm mind you living in I think at the time I was living in Maryland. Um I'm scanning through all these videos and I see deathmatch show stopped, and I was like, what? And then it says GCW, which is Game Changer Wrestling. So it's like, okay, well, clearly, like, I want to check what this is. And then, the guys, they had a British accent. They're like, and the deathmatch show gets stopped in, oh, Cheyenne. And was it Cheyenne? Cheyenne or Torrington? We'll call it Torrington for now. It was Cheyenne. Sorry. But it was like Torrington, Wyoming. And I was like,
Wyoming, either
of
way.
course. I was like, what just happened? So it was just funny that was the switch. But yeah, but there's like different flavors of like, we call it different flavors of ice cream, similar to how rock is. But
Yeah.
the one thing I'm kind of curious, because like in a match, we kind of like understand there's like a structure to everything too, right? That's how you're gonna get. You have different matches. They're meant for different positions. The matches themselves are meant for different things, right? So I'm assuming, and I guess because when I think about it, like a playlist would be clearly like your guys' set list, whatever you're performing, and how you want to get crowds up and down and kind of ride a roller coaster. Like, what's the thought process for
Yeah.
you when you want to set up that playlist to get the crowd involved?
Honestly, I like to set up the playlist the same way that we set up the album. So
Mm.
the same way that you'll hear the album begin, it'll usually have like an intro type thing. It's kind of telling a story. Then the music will kind of start. It'll be like a continuance to the story, and then the story will progress on. Usually, with my albums in particular, they all have a beginning, middle, and end, and the songs are kind of like almost like diary entries or something that help continue to tell the story. And sometimes actually one album will be the start of the story, and another album might actually be the end.
I like that. I like that a lot. It's a lot of fun. Uh,
Yeah,
listen.
so honestly, we set it up pretty much the same way as that, or to tell the truth, which is just honestly, like I said, with our music in particular, it's pretty much full throttle almost all the time, all the way. At least our version of full throttle. So we don't have a lot of real slow or down moments for it or anything really. So we've got a few songs that we know are more popular than others, and so they're kind of sprinkled in intermittently. Usually, there's one in the beginning that's to get everybody hyped up and ready to go, and then you kind of play a few other ones that maybe people don't know so well, and then you'll drop another one like kind of in the middle of your set or something, and get everybody back up there again, and then you'll play more stuff, and you'll have your ones that do and your ones that don't, and then you try to end with a bang. You know what I mean? The
Mhm.
last thing they're gonna remember, kind of the last song you heard in your car, it stays stuck in your head all day. That concept, you want it to really stick in their head and be the last memory for the night that they have.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. That's like where I think about that kind of things when it comes to wrestling. Like I try to figure out the way that I can get the fans hyped about whatever's happening, and I want to be like, it is why I think about. I want to be the moment that people leave with, like whether I'm
Yeah,
first on the show or I'm last on the show. I really don't care where I'm at on the show, but I want to be the thought process. I want someone to be like, "Damn, Red Dog's match was like really good. Remember when he picked that one dude up and just like slammed him? I thought he broke that dude's back. Like how hard he hit him in the
yeah,
ground. Like, and
yeah.
then yeah, I just want that moment.
Yeah, it's those moments. Those moments. Those are the most important things, honestly. It's that moment when the kid comes up to you for an autograph that you thought was too young to come to your show, or it's that moment where you see the soccer mom come up to get an autograph for something that you would have never imagined in a million years that they knew what your music was, much less that they listened to that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Dudes in
Hmm.
suits, dude. I mean, all walks of life. It's crazy. And then, of course, you got your regulars that you can kind of identify when you see them. They're covered in tattoos, piercings, leather jackets. Different patches from bands and stuff. I mean, you kind of your brand when you see it. But then you've always got your surprises.
Yeah, I always feel like I end up like in different areas. Like I'll see people wearing like the Red Dog shirt. Like so at my job, like I've had a couple of people who know that I'm a wrestler. They've like, and I won't call it a pro wrestler, an indie wrestler, because I'm on the weekends. But I've had those people come up to me and they'll be wearing my shirt like in the gym and stuff like that. I'm like, oh shit, like y'all really thought this out. Or like when I go to when I'm down in like Maryland or Pennsylvania and I just see like random fans wearing my gear, I'm like, whoa, like this is a kind of a cool feeling.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah. Mine in particular, I don't. The merch thing, it's okay. I mean, I like it. I kind of have a thing against turning my fans into walking billboards. I don't really like that idea of it. But one of mine for that in particular, when I get to that feeling though, is when I'm played on the radio, especially if I
Mm.
wasn't expecting it. You know what I mean? And then I just hear it come on, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, that's me. Yo, where's that coming from? Who's playing that or what is that? That's the radio. Damn. Okay. Instantly,
That's
it gives me just I get that little kid in the candy store feeling.
no, and for me, like, because it's the moments where like I'm walking around and I'm just like, whoa, like someone recognizes like the work that I'm putting in. And the other one that really catches me off guard is when I get fans who come up to me and say, "It's time for Red Dog's thought of the day," and I'm like, "Come on, man." Like, y'all be
There you
watching
go.
Red Dog the video way too much to know what Red Dog's thought of the day is.
No, that's cool. That's cool. That's when you got to reward those ones. Those are the true fans.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Listen, man, I'm gonna switch this over to my favorite part of the 3 Count podcast, and that is the 3 Count podcast 10 count questions. And Mr. Kane, this is how it works. I'm gonna fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast, and whatever your answer is, that's your answer.
Okay.
So we're gonna put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing. And in the words of my favorite commentator, Mike Goldberg, here we go. You got to pick SmackDown or Raw.
Raw.
All right. Favorite movie?
The Deer Hunter.
Let's go. I was just talking about that the other day with somebody too. Marvel or DC?
DC.
Favorite
Actually,
cartoon?
neither, but DC if I had to pick one. Favorite cartoon? Are we talking anime or regular cartoon?
Why not both?
Anime, I'd probably say Akira. Regular cartoon, I'd probably say the Spawn animated series.
Okay, I like that. I love that. I think what's funny enough. I think it's the first time someone's mentioned the Spawn animated series on here.
Oh,
And
I love that show. Love that show.
Keith is so great.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. Like here,
Yeah, Batman, eat your fucking heart out. That is grit at its best.
I love Kevin, but man, Keith, like, yo, you tell me Goliath and Spawn are voiced by the same person. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
Waffles or pancakes?
Oh, neither, but I'd probably go with waffles.
Okay. Favorite TV show?
Oh, I got lost there, boss. What was that one?
Favorite TV show?
Oh, favorite TV show. Probably Farzar right now.
I like that. Apple or Android?
Android.
Favorite podcast?
Probably this one.
That's right.
Honestly,
Like we don't have this.
This is the one that I probably listen to the most. Honestly, I really don't listen to a whole lot of them, so probably this one the best.
Let's go. All right. So nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
Anybody?
Anybody.
I'd like to see you get a hold of my buddy, and if you can't get a hold of him, I'll help you get a hold of him. But I'd like to see you get let's see. So many good choices here. How about we say Nathan James?
Okay, I'm in for it. And then last but not least, my favorite question asked. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, man's killing the game right now. I mean, he's really making waves in the new metal scene.
Nice. Well, I'm in for this. And of course, my favorite question asked every single person who comes on this show. Favorite curse word?
Definitely got to be fucked in every language, all variants.
It's gotta be.
Yeah, I think I probably know that word in about every language possible.
Bruh. All right, so that's all my questions that I do have for you. So the last thing I need for you to do is let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
I'm on all social medias. I'm on Snapchat. I'm on TikTok. I'm on pretty much everything. X. I'm on everywhere. But the places where I'm most frequently at is probably either YouTube or Facebook. You can catch me in either or, and hit me up on Messenger anytime.
That's right. Right there. It's telling you, Azaroth Kane. That is the handle. You can find him. Because if you find me, you'll find him. That's the man. So he told you his handles. He told you where you can find him. He gave you all the social media platforms. And, the only thing we got to do is like our favorite part of a wrestling match. Take it home. Because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Into Ring. And now I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller. The man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And, like your Sherpa, it's never about me. It's about who's entering. So who's entering? You see him right there. Azaroth Kane himself. And you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there. Or you're legitimately follow us on all of our social media platforms. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're following us on Spotify. You're checking us out on Amazon Music. You're even listening to us on that dumb app with the stupid jingle that goes, iHeartRadio, or whatever it is. You're buying our merch on foryouwear.com or even checking out our merch on prowrestlingtees.com. You're telling your mom about it, your dad about it, your aunties, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your best friends, and your enemies, because we love haters too. You're doing all that stuff, or really you're just kind of waiting for this episode to end, waiting for the outro, and then choosing another episode to listen to. Kawaii. What's up? It is your friendly neighborhood Red Dog, and thank you for checking out this episode of the 3 Count Podcast. Whether that was Chaz Friends, Red Dog Friends, Damien Friends, The Films Lounge, Now Into the Ring, Now Entering 201, or Now Returning to the Ring, all those good episodes, you should really be liking, commenting, and even sharing this with your friends, family, whoever it may be. But what you all should be doing is checking us out on all of our social media platforms at 3 Count Pod, whether that's on IG, Twitch, you can check us out on Threads, whatever it may be. And if you go check us out on X, it is 3count_pod. Check us out on YouTube, as well as Facebook, on Rumble, on Apple Music, on Spotify, all those fun things. Tell your mom about us, your dad about us, your aunties, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, and your best friends and your enemies, because we love haters too. Do all that stuff, and then, last but not least, buy our merch on foryouwear.com or prowrestlingtees.com. Kawaii.